This is Empty the Bench with Tom Albano.
What the hell has happened to Zion Williamson in the last few years? Nick, at this rate, do you know where he and Moriah Mills are both going to end up next? Do you know where their next playing careers in two different ways are going to infiltrate?
Guangdong Tigers. Ni hao! Ni hao! Ni hao!
Nick Morgasen.
Maybe he should stop screwing around off the court and screw around on the court and actually play basketball and like actually participate in the game of basketball.
Empty the Bench starts now.
Adam Silver is running a circus. Yes, a circus. And I mean quite literally a circus. If I can find my music here, a circus!
Yes, a circus. Ladies and gentlemen, you hear some creepy circus-sounding music. Those who are more modern viewers probably are not going to be aware of this. So this is actually a throwback to one of our last days as the Unspoken Podcast, in which there were a couple of weeks in that last year where it was just negative news story after negative news story. And it was coined by our former co-host as the Rolling Thunder Bullshit Mountain Review.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Is it Halloween early here?
Well, we decided to play this music because, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the first Empty the Bench version of the Rolling Thunder Bullshit Mountain Review. Because life is absolute misery. And
by the way, welcome to episode 189 of Empty the Bench. By the way, Tom Albano, Nick Morgasen. Follow us across social media at ETB Sports, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/ETB Network. Follow us on the Empty the Bench Network at ETB Network, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Also, etppodcast.com. Lots of blogs coming up. We'll talk about a change also with the blogs because we're making some changes along the way to adjust some scheduling and stuff. So we'll tell you at the end some changes we made. But the reason we chose that music this week, because usually you hear the fun, exciting music at the end.
This will not be one of those weeks.
Let's put it this way. You're going to see smoke coming out of our ears for most of this episode.
Your ears especially.
Yeah, because when Tom and I put the show together every week, full disclosure, today being Thursday, we go on Monday and we start figuring out these topics. And the promo was easy this week. That's all I'll say. It was very easy.
Negative. So, as I was saying, negative headline after negative headline after negative headline. And a lot of it actually revolving around basketball. There is some on-the-court stuff as well with basketball, potential trades and options and such. But just everything else, even stretching into football and baseball, negativity. So if you are looking for a pick-me-up kind of podcast, well, this week is not going to be that week.
All I'm going to say is it's basically, where's the sound effect? It's going to be a bunch of punch in the guts. So if your stomach is not good, this is not the episode for you.
So coming up later in this episode, we will adjust draw. I mean, Nick, you already addressed Ja earlier this week with a 40-minute breaking news piece on last Friday.
It was
when the news dropped.
It was a tirade. I wouldn't even call that a stream. It was a tirade of all sorts. We'll get into that. John Morant's suspension came out. If you didn't hear the live stream, we'll address it here. Also, part 1 million, basically, of Moriah Mills and Zion Williamson. And also, Moriah Mills ended up in a very interesting live stream, which we'll get to in a little bit.
My boy, and I say that with all of the sarcasm in the world, Conor McGregor, is so the NBA Finals Game 4, we talked last week about the mascot incident. Turns out there's now an alleged other incident that happened during that game.
Yeah, people were very confused. Like, you guys covered this on MMA Outsiders, and I had to explain on our TikTok page because people were like, "Well, you guys are falling for the bit for the mascot issue." Like, no, we're not talking about the mascot issue. It's a whole different issue of major epic proportions. And I mean, I'm not saying that as hyperbole. It's real. It's real.
Well, I'm going to say that not on the Conor McGregor end, in that this may even stretch over to some issue in the Miami Heat, if not the entire NBA.
Well, let's put it this way. I'm not going to give it away yet, but I agree with what you said on MMA Outsiders.
Bob Huggins finally resigning 6 weeks after he says an anti-gay slur on the radio. He gets arrested for DUI. We'll talk about that. Bradley Beal's CP3 gets swapped in a trade, and CP3, it may not be the end of him getting swapped during this offseason. We'll discuss that. We'll discuss Kristaps, Porzingis, the deal, supposedly a 3-team deal as of Wednesday night, still being near finalized. Draymond Green, his player option, he officially declined, so maybe we've seen the last of him in a Warriors uniform. Jack Jones and Tyreek Hill both in trouble in the law in football. Yes, Tyreek Hill. I'm getting flashbacks to the Rolling Thunder Bullshit Mountain Review 2 on the Unspoken podcast, when during the recording of that episode 4 years ago, that was when the child abuse allegations started to come out.
By the way, you know what? For good fun, we should find both parts of that episode just as like bonus content, and we should post them out just so people could see, like, here's the Rolling Thunder Bullshit Mountain parts, just so people could see what that was all about. That was way back early in the podcasting days.
I think one was late 2018 and one was 2019, towards the end of Unspoken's run.
So we'll look into that. But also, we'll get to baseball. Yes, we're talking baseball. We're going to talk about the Oakland A's and their reverse boycott, which I thought was fucking stupid, in my opinion. And now we get word, because it's not enough for Rob Manfred to do dumb things involving the business. Now he's doing dumb things which are leading to lawsuits of age discrimination. Think about that. Just keep that in your mind for the end of the episode. That's all I'll say. But let's get into it. We had problems, full disclosure, trying to pick what the first topic was going to be on this show, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the typical, since we're a weekly podcast, the typical would be Ja, because the Ja news dropped last Friday after our episode had already aired. You know, a little less than 24 hours after our episode first premiered. But honestly, at this point, let's just leave with Moriah Mills, because I never thought in all of my time I would ever have to write in anything media related the words sex tape in a banner. Well, guess what? My luck officially ran out, because Moriah Mills got suspended from Twitter after threatening that, you know, the drama between her and Zion was still going on. And she threatens, hey, I'm going to release a sex tape of us.
You're asking for logic. Let's just be honest here. I mean, so this situation happens again. Moriah Mills, by the way, who has a lot of followers, has like close to, I think, 1.5 million, if I'm not mistaken, on Twitter. And she is firing off on the good old Twitter machine. And I think I said it in one of the intros either last week or the week before, like 30 to 35,000 tweets were going back and forth. And she was threatening to release sex tapes. By the way, I don't care if Elon Musk or the boogeyman is running Twitter at this point. You are going to get suspended for threatening to put someone's dirty laundry, is the nicest way I could say it, but sex tape out on social media. That's going to get you suspended.
Yeah, without a doubt. And my favorite part is, as part of this, she actually ats the Pelicans and says it's time to trade him. You realize, you know, I mean, she, I guess, isn't exactly a follower of sports, because you realize his trade value was already at zero for the fact that he had so many injuries and drama off the court. And now doing this, you're putting his trade value at negative 5,000.
I mean, I'm just going to do it again because you said it in the intro, but they're both going to end up in
Guangdong Tigers. Ni hao! Ni hao! Ni hao!
Ni hao.
they're going to end up in China. I mean, no, and I already said this about Ja, where I think he should end up in the Chinese basketball league and they should leave him there. But I think Zion might end up there next. I mean, because the Pelicans have no value. By the way, and I love this when incidents happen to athletes, and the Pelicans are treating it like, I want this, and this, because this is what Zion's value should be. Zion has no value. It's zero.
The key word is should be, but it's not.
And I think I said this last week also. Zion is Greg Oden. Because how high was the value of Zion playing at Duke, got the Nike deal, exploding shoe?
Right. Well, remember what I said last week. I remember as a Knicks fan being absolutely miserable at the fact that we weren't getting Zion, but instead we ended up picking up RJ Barrett. And now it's like the Knicks kind of won the lottery that year in the aftermath.
I was going to say, I think you're thanking your lucky stars, no pun intended, at this point.
That loss ended up being one of the greatest wins in Knicks history at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Zion has no value. And the Pelicans I think they wanted the Blazers. I don't know which pick they have. I think they have the second overall pick because they want to get Scooter. I can't remember his name. One of the high prospects.
I forget if it was 2 or 3.
I want to look up the NBA 2023 draft order, but I forgot what the prospect's name is. So they have, Portland has the 3rd pick.
Yeah, it is 3.
So they wanted Scooter Henderson. That was the guy's name. He's the high draft pick, along with Wembanyama, who's already going to go 1. That was never an issue. That was automatic. But the Pelicans have no leverage on any deal right now whatsoever. No. Zero. Zilch. Nada. How many times can you say zero in a million languages? Because that's what it is.
I'm just curious, Nick, if there is actually a team out there that would be desperate and would take Zion.
Pistons.
I could see that.
Maybe. I mean, because they just spent $100 million on a coach, which signals to me, you can tell when a team spends a lot of money, you can't be half pregnant when you're spending money. Either you're spending money or you're not spending money. Either you're the Oakland A's or you're the New York Yankees. You're not both. You can't be both. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know how to feel. Like, I was very confused when I was first dissecting the story with you last week because I wasn't here for the original week of the dissection. And now it's just, I don't know, this is just plain funny to me.
Of course it's funny. It's insane. I mean, since we're playing sounds, we might as well play something else because
I feel like we'll play this a lot this episode.
I mean, by the way, I think that's 3 times already with the circus music, and we're not even 15 minutes into the episode as of yet.
And I haven't even made a mention of Russell Wilson or the Broncos.
Just wait. You'll have plenty of time when the football season comes. But this story...
I can't wait for the week the Broncos and Jets play.
You would. But this story gets even worse because I sent you and Hank, who does Game On for us, and our group chat, the Stephen A. tweet, where Stephen A., I think he does a live podcast on YouTube, like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And guess who was in the live chat on YouTube?
Moriah Mills.
And I have to look back because I can't find the tweet. I sent it to you. Maybe you have it. But she was basically saying, everything's okay. No problem.
Let's see. I'm going to pull it up.
Everything's good in the hood.
Hang on, that's not yours. I mean, it was yours. I just clicked on the one where you said about the cons. No, Moriah Mills, don't believe the narratives. We good.
I mean,
wait, don't believe the narratives when you are the one who just put so many tweets out, coming crashing down and criticizing Zion Williamson and his loved ones, and the mothers of his children. After all that, no, we're good.
I mean, no. It's like Consuela from Family Guy. No, I can't do that. No. I mean, like,
Look at all the failure.
I mean, that's really the only sound effect that really describes this whole situation. I mean, I was telling Hank the other day that usually when more parts of a story come out, it makes it worse. This story, the more parts that come out, the funnier this gets.
Well, funny as in facepalm funny.
Yes. Like, to me, this is entertaining now a little bit because and let me be very clear that Zion's got a lot of issues he's got to figure out. He's a 29-year-old athlete who signed a massive contract, I think for $150 million plus. That's the other reason why his trade value is never going to be anything, because who's going to want to pick up $150 million on Zion? No
Not
one.
me.
And he's not healthy. He doesn't play. And I'm going to say the joke I said again last week. He should screw around on the court and not off the court. Because if he actually screwed around on the court, maybe he would have some value to a team.
I mean, if he screwed around on the court, he's going to find out. Because that's the more PG version of, that expression.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why she's upset, but at the same time, she's not handling this very properly, to be honest.
Again, you are expecting proper
etiquette
from a porn star?
No, I just got an open mouth.
All right. I'm going to do the rest of this miserable show by myself, but never mind.
I mean, but I think it's the most accurate thing. I mean, like, her mouth is open, floweth. Like, it just goes.
And then all of a sudden, no, we're good. Did she actually get on the podcast itself?
No, she just dropped that comment in the YouTube live comments section.
So she kind of ding dong ditched, basically.
Pretty much, and I think Stephen A caught it because I'm trying to get to the. Maybe I can get to it on my phone. Oh my god!
I mean, what more can I say? Maybe clout chasing, maybe money chasing.
Here it is. It seems Moriah Mills has entered my live YouTube chat. This is Stephen A. Smith, by the way. We're talking Zion Williamson situation right now. Nothing. I mean, just promote your product. But Moriah Mills is in your live stream.
I mean, is Moriah Mills going to go after Stephen A. next?
Now that would be entertaining. I could see it. I could see it now. I could see it now on First Take. Stephen A. Smith on one side, Moriah Mills on the other side. Let's have an all-out debate about ethical and non-ethical when it comes to porn stars.
Or to just a debate about Zion.
Well, or better yet, let Moriah Mills should ask Stephen A. what he thinks about strip clubs.
Moriah Mills should give the sex tape for Stephen A. to watch. He does an analysis on it.
Oh, God. I mean, you know what he would say? And I wasn't ready for that either. You know what he would say? Hey, Zion!
Who's on crack?
I mean,
I thought that was going to come at me for what I said.
No, he would say, "Who was on crack?" Long story short, this is not over. I said this last week and the week before. This is not over. This is not over. This is Moriah Mills versus Zion to be continued, as they say on TV shows. So just be prepared that this will be talked about again at some way, shape, or form on another episode, and just be prepared. I mean, we've done plenty of serious stories which have had multiple parts over the years. We covered Colin Kaepernick with his serious situation, even though that kind of became a joke over time a little bit.
We covered the Washington Commanders.
That kind of became a little funny at times too. And they're dealing with their own situation with their. Apparently, they might not be the Commanders much longer.
Right. Well, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. We talked about the Ohio State stuff.
Yeah, or Urban Meyer.
Never Meyer, yeah.
That one was probably the biggest joke, in my opinion. But all right, we're getting off the topic.
I mean, it
Go ahead.
doesn't compare as much to the joke of his NFL career, where he was the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's a good point. But long story short, this is not over. That's where I'll leave it.
But you know what supposedly is over? John Morant's career for 25 games. All right. So the NBA, Adam Silver during the NBA Finals said, "Yeah, stay tuned. We will." He did the whole "stay tuned" thing. That he's gonna let the NBA Finals play out, and then he'll drop the announcement.
No, you know what Adam Silver did?
RELAX.
Oh, I'm not the one who had to play it for once.
But that's what he did. He basically said, "Just relax. Just wait."
Yeah, said, enjoy the NBA Finals, and we'll talk about this after the Finals. Because he didn't want to impede on he didn't want to cause a distraction. He didn't want to take the attention away.
Well, he did not do that.
And that actually led some people to believe, okay, maybe he's actually serious and he's going to give a long suspension. Maybe half the season, maybe a full season. No, he doesn't even get to half. He gets half of half. 25 games.
Look at all the failure.
I mean, I know you blew our ears off for about 40 minutes, but you know what? This is your show and you're Mr. NBA, so you might as well do it again.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go into as much of a tirade. If you want to see a tirade I had, go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/UTB Network, if you want to see what I said about this in full form. But this is incredibly fucking stupid, what Adam Silver did as the commissioner of the sport. And you might want to get that banner because we're going to need that quite a bit.
All right. Where is it? There it is.
Because this is quite literally an Adam Silver slip up. Because
and he didn't just slip. He slipped on a. You know how they have the wet floor signs that warn you about whether that there's a wet water on the ground. He saw the sign and he saw the water on the floor, and it's not just normal. It's that dirty, disgusting, oldish kind of water. And he still said, "Well, might as well go on through." Whoops.
I'll give you a better reference, okay? So, do you remember in SpongeBob, the Salty Spittoon episode where SpongeBob's trying to be tough and finally,
he finally gets into the Salty Spittoon and then he slips on an ice cube and has to go to the hospital?
That's Adam Silver. So, literally, he's like, I won! I finally won! I'm going into the Salty Spittoon! And then it cuts to going to the hospital and it's like, what happened? I slipped on an ice cube and got boo-boos. And I'm like, yep, that's Adam Silver. That's Adam Silver.
The NBA at this point is Weenie Hut Jr.
Wait a minute. Did we literally just compare the NBA to the Salty Spittoon and SpongeBob?
I compared it to Weenie Hut Jr.
Well, that's SpongeBob, but yes. Yeah, but back to the seriousness of this whole situation. John Morant had 2 gun incidents. Okay? 2. Not 1, 2. And the first one was bad, being at a strip club on an Instagram live stream. For most people who don't know, it's pretty much public information at this point. Gets caught, gets slapped on the wrist for 8 games, which really became 2 because they really didn't miss any games. Comes back. Finishes the season. The Grizzlies go out in an upset fashion in the playoffs. And
the other gun incident.
Then in the middle of the offseason, or actually, I don't think the playoffs were over yet. And another gun incident happens, and he's with his friends and whatever that guy's name is.
Once again, yeah, it's kind of deja vu, flashes the gun and such. Which my favorite part then, Nick, is afterwards. Actually, no, this isn't my favorite part. My favorite part is a little later in the story. But he does another Instagram live where he shows the gun again, and he holds over a candle to show, no, it's not an actual gun. It's just a little prop. It just uses the light stuff. I don't think you're getting the point, Ja. It is not, what you are displaying could be absolutely correct in that it is only a flame. But look at Nick, so what do I say sometimes with athletes and public figures? It's optics. The optics, and the optics says you are waving a gun on Instagram Live twice. You are supposed to be a role model to children. You're supposed to be arguably a face of the National Basketball Association, and instead you're, waving guns on social media. Yeah, good job, good job. But
Wow. But I don't care. First of all, 2 actual gun incidents. I don't care that you said, "Oh, well, I can light the gun like a toy and then put it over a candle." I don't care.
Not to mention, there was also the incident, that was reported on afterwards that the summer before, about a year ago, you had a whole incident, an altercation with a 17-year-old, a teenager, a minor.
Well, you're forgetting another incident as well when he was in the SUV and
the Pacers stuff.
The Pacers laser incident, being in the SUV and almost getting hit by a laser, Men in Black style. But this is not good. He's got prior history. That's the problem here. So he committed one gun incident. He was basically slapped on the wrist. That's Adam Silver's fault. If Adam Silver gave him at least 25 games the first time, I would have said, okay, fine. It's a first offense, whatever. And he probably wouldn't have as much time on his hands because he would be trying to figure out how to get back to the NBA and he wouldn't be able to do this shit all over again. But because you were soft, or as Hank would say, Charmin Ultra Soft, basically you allowed him to do it again because he basically got a 2-game suspension, which was supposed to be 8. And he did it again. And we all knew this wasn't going to end well when he gave him 8 games. John Morant isn't considered an all-star. First of all, I refuse to call John Morant an all-star anymore in the NBA. I refuse. And people are going to throw stuff at me, and they're going to throw a bunch of tomatoes at me. I don't care. Ja does not deserve the title of being an all-star in the NBA anymore at all.
I think he doesn't. I don't know if I'd go that far, but he doesn't deserve the title to be the face of the NBA. Why would you want to promote somebody who has the kind of history that Ja has? And I'm worried because of this kind of suspension that it's only going to get worse, which leads to the other part of this, which I think dropped after your stream. So now I'm going to really make your blood boil. That the NBPA released a statement calling the suspension excessive and arbitrary. Now, I understand they are the Players Association. Their job is to try to support the players. But I think Ja's getting lucky that he is getting off with a 25-game suspension. What more do you want to reduce it to? 12?
First of all, the NBA, and this is going to be a massive, harsh hot take, the NBPA's got to shut the fuck up now. And I mean that quite literally, because they should be thanking their lucky stars that Adam Silver is the biggest moron when it comes to the commissioner of the sport, giving him 25 games because we need our precious money in the sport and we need our branding and we need our marketing.
But you know what? In Adam Silver's mind, 25 games is a harsh penalty. You know why? No, not because about the 8 game. You know why? Because he's 25 games suspended. You know what that makes John Morant?
Oh, ineligible for postseason awards.
For the awards! He can't get the awards. He's in violation of that 60-game rule that was made to, remember, try to put off another issue that the NBA is having in our favorite, Mr. LM, load management.
I mean, I'm going to say this again for the millionth time, and you know what I'm going to say.
I know.
No one gives a shit about the postseason awards or any awards in that manner, because the postseason awards mean what? Nothing. Nothing. These guys, all they care about is what? What do they care about?
Hold on. I just drank some water, so I'm going to get the sound effect instead.
Exactly. Thank you. That's all they care about. As long as the check hits their bank account twice a month, apparently that's what the NBA does, twice a month, they don't care. As long as the check clears and they're able to live their lives, you think they care about awards? No. And to tell me that that's the reason you came up with 25 games because, he can't win the MVP or he can't win Defensive Player of the Year or Offensive Player of the Year. What? Huh? You can't convince me that that's the reason you gave him 25 games. Both sides are stupid. I can't believe I'm saying that.
No, but you're not wrong.
Because usually, like, looking
Gilbert
back to
Arenas, everybody.
Well, that I can get into that in a second. But when you look at certain issues between the league and the Players Association, heck, when we talked about MLB and the whole lockout situation, we knew that MLB was the moron. There was a side that was a moron. Did the MLBPA do dumb things? Yes, but Rob Manfred was worse. You knew there was one side that was always worse. In the NFL, when the NFL had all these issues, it was usually the NFL. And it was usually Roger Goodell making dumb rules. In this situation, they're both dumb. They're literally both dumb. The MLBPA is complaining about a 25-game suspension when he should have gotten a season. And Adam Silver is basically saying, I made it off scot-free. Like, they're both dumb. And to say that, and the other thing that you wrote here also, and I saw this.
Yes, here's my favorite. That John Morant says he feels targeted. That Ja and his friends all feel targeted. My friend Ja, no. It's you and your friends who are the problem. It's like Ja is looking at a mirror, and it's like that Simpsons meme with the principal. You know, am I out of touch? Am I doing something that's wrong? No, it's everybody else. It's the children in the meme, but no, it's everybody else who's wrong.
But you know what? This is the woe is me right now, saying that he feels targeted. I mean, listen, Ja, you got yourself in trouble. You brandished a gun twice out in public on social media. By the way, and not that I'm condoning this by any means, if he didn't do it on social media, it probably wouldn't have been as big a deal if he didn't do it on a live stream feed. Because I hate to say this, and you know this, like, guns are legally allowed to be carried as long as you have a permit.
Again, 2 words. Public figure.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
No,
That's
I'm trying to emphasize the problem with voting on social media.
Yes.
I mean, it would be bad if you were a private figure as well, but the fact that you were a public figure, one of the biggest stars in the National Basketball Association, is a very big deal and a very big problem.
I mean, you can tell he's a big figure. Just signed a $195 million max extension, which is supposed to kick in this season. Well, I didn't do the math, but I think 25 games, a quarter of the season, we're talking about like $8 or $9 million. Like, that's it.
And people, I mean, I saw the report. I saw the report from ESPN. I think it was from our favorite guy.
Oh God, Windhorst.
Windhorst, yeah. That basically says that $8-9 million sponsorship loss is pretty massive. And yes, I get his point. But when historically, if we're going to talk precedent, remember the whole Gilbert Arenas situation with
Javaris Crittenton.
Crittenton, yeah. A gun was brought into the locker room.
Which, by the way, he has since walked back for whatever reason. I don't know why. Yeah, he has since walked back part of that story for whatever reason. But
they got suspended for the whole season.
You have to remember David Stern was the commissioner of the sport at the time.
I never thought I would say this in the second half of his run, but God rest his soul, because, man, do I want him back for a situation like this.
I mean, the difference between David Stern and Adam Silver, David Stern was an owner's commissioner. Adam Silver is a player's commissioner. Yeah. And that's the difference. David Stern could give 2 shits. If you did something horrible, you were getting suspended for it. I mean, remember the Pistons incident?
He dropped the hammer. The brawl
at Auburn Hills.
The Mouse and Mouse.
Right. And Rasheed Wallace got suspended for most of the season. Ben Wallace got suspended for most of the season. Ron Artest lost the whole season. That was the end of his career, basically. I mean, Yeah, Adam Silver's got some explaining to do because what do you do here? I mean, Morant feels targeted. Did you expect him to say anything else? Did you expect him to say, "Oh, well, I'm good"?
So Adam Silver thinks what he's doing is excessive, and it isn't. The NBA PA thinks it's excessive, and it isn't. Ja Morant thinks it's excessive, and it isn't. I guess we're just living in fantasy land. Well, if we are living in fantasy land, then Nick, I hereby announce the establishment of the XBA. Hey, but you know what? Slam Ball's coming back next month on ESPN.
Yeah, I did see that. ESPN's got that deal. I don't know what to say anymore. This story is stupid, and both sides, 2 wrongs don't make a right, but 3 rights make a left, apparently, because both of them are going to make one more right, and they're going to end up making a left. I mean, but...
And now it's time for the show, which is going to be the NBPA arguing with the NBA, trying to lower it from 25 to like 10 games.
And the sick part is
they're going to win.
Because technically when the league of any league sets a suspension, the NBPA is going to battle this to the bitter end.
Right. And that's why I said, I get it. It's their job. But I mean, we've had, you always like to make mention of this when we talk about the MLBPA. They actually refused to defend Alex Rodriguez.
Absolutely. You beat me to that point. I was actually going to bring that up, that the A-Rod situation was so bad that they finally said, we're done. No mas. We're not doing this anymore. And, well, A-Rod also didn't help his case by basically suing Major League Baseball. And so the MLBPA wanted nothing to do with that.
Right, which I don't think Ja is stupid enough to sue the NBA.
I would hope not, but Ja Morant's already had 2 dumb gun incidents. So who knows what Ja is capable of? And Ja's going to say, well, I didn't do anything, or I read the PR statement from the agent, which was fake, by the way, a fake apology. I apologize to the city of Memphis. I apologize to the fans.
And then that's the other thing, which I heard discussed on, on the big wigs, on all the radio stations and the TV stations and the YouTubes and such. When you make an apology like that, what you're supposed to do is lay low and not do something stupid. And right after that apology, it was what, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Like 2 or 3 weeks.
That second gun incident occurred. So that's already, by PR standpoint, a really disastrous kind of look. Because like you said, we expect these PR statements to be kind of fakish, but now it looks absolutely like you could take, like we didn't even need to crumple up like a ball or rip it up or something. You did it yourself.
Well, the problem with the apology, and I said it on this trail, I'll say it here, that you read the statement, it doesn't even sound like it's in Ja's point of view or his voice whatsoever. It's quite literally written by someone who's done that a million times before to protect an athlete. And for him to say, like, I need to be a better role model, gee, you threw that out the window after the second gun incident. You can't be a role model or be trusted. And by the way, if I'm not mistaken, he's got like a 3 or 4-year-old son.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't be a role model for your own kid, how do you expect to be a role model for hundreds of thousands or even millions of kids who look up to him as a guy that they want to follow one day, which, by the way, I would not do at this point in time.
No, not at all.
But to say he feels targeted, come on. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And when the NBPA gets this down to 12 games, probably because they'll meet in the middle somewhere, which is probably what'll happen, then I'm going to scream even more because he should have gotten a season, a full season. He should have lost $40 million. And by the way, I'm getting really pissed off at some of the radio networks because they're saying that the amount of games doesn't matter because it's not going to change who he is as a person. What are you talking about?
Nick, unfortunately, I kind of understand what they're saying because listen to me. If Ja does not remove himself from that situation, if Ja does not realize that his friend, we had the name of the friend that he was with.
Pack. whatever his name was. Yeah.
If Ja does not remove himself from Pac, then I don't know if he really is going to change as an individual. And the fact that Adam Silver is only making it 25 games, like, it's not going to change who he is, but it's going to it's making things a lot worse. You would have a better shot at the change if it was half a season, even just half a season, let alone a whole season. And the fact that Adam Silver didn't even get to the half mark, it's not just a matter of he's not going to change as a person, but what you're doing, Mr. Silver, by not even reaching half of a season, it's not just a matter of he's not going to change. You're accepting who he is. You're accepting who he is as a person. And listen, everybody has their flaws and everybody has their, shortcomings. And it's a question that I've posed to myself, as a question I have posed to my kids in the classroom. As a friend, are you supposed to look past, in this case, a boss player relationship? Are you supposed to look past their flaws, or are you supposed to work through them? Because even my students have said there comes a point where you have to say enough. Because if it was something sort of basic, like some sort of quirk, there's some sort of quirky individual, you look past it. But a situation where, I can't say it enough, you're supposed to be one of the biggest faces of this league, and here you are going and showing off guns. That's something you can't look past, and that's something you got to try to fix, especially in the boss to commissioner to player kind of dynamic. And my question is, where, if I'm going to go on that kind of direction, where are the Grizzlies in all this? Because yes, you know what? They suspended him. They suspended him from the playing facilities and such before Adam Silver even did anything. So the fact is that the Grizzlies, just by that little thing, doing something in there, even though it's in their off season, they already did more, and I would argue still have done more than Adam Silver has done.
I mean, I said this to you when it happened, when the Grizzlies technically suspended him from team activities. That's always my favorite when people do that. They were out of the playoffs. The season was over. He's going to go on a vacation. That's eventually what he's going to do.
And yet, have they done more than Adam Silver?
Yes and no, because technically the Grizzlies didn't suspend him for any games.
But it's the fact that they acted.
Okay, technically yes, because they did act, but I agree with something you said a while back when we started talking about this. If they would throw a suspension on top of what the NBA did, then I would have more respect for the Grizzlies. Because right now the Grizzlies have really done nothing, to be honest, except suspending him from team activities. Oh, he doesn't have to show up to a sponsored event. Whoa. I mean, this can't end well. And the NBA has a huge problem on its hand. It doesn't know how to discipline its players. It doesn't know how to handle any incidents. Adam Silver wants his guys on the court. He wants his stars on the court. If this was, and I'm going to use your words, a 10th, 11th, or 12th guy on the bench, would have been gone from the league. Would have been quite literally gone from the league. You would never heard of this guy.
He would have gone to the Guangdong Tigers.
Yeah, quite literally. I mean, he would have lost everything. He would have been cut from the team, salary gone, career gone. They would have made a reputation out of that guy if it was a no name. But because John Morant's name has some currency value to it, as bad as that sounds, then Adam Silver's going to protect you. Oh, I'm a star. I can do whatever I want. You can't hurt me. And people are going to say, Nick, leave him alone. He got 25 games. No, I'm not going to leave it alone. 25 games is a quarter of a season.
Not even. It's a quarter of a season, 82 games. So
think about that. A quarter of a season for 2 gun incidents, which, by the way, and Hank and I talked about this on Game On a long time ago, and I'll bring it back up here. Another certain incident with a certain New York athlete who had problems with a gun.
Which cost the Giants a potential repeat.
Yeah, you and Hank are on that same wavelength, by the way. But look what happened to him. That was the end of his career.
Yep.
I don't know if he ever ended up getting suspended or anything ever happened from that. I can't remember, but the NFL did not handle that correctly either. They pretty much just said, oh, he shot himself? Big deal. Whatever.
I'm
He,
kind
he
of.
destroyed his own career.
Well, it was again. Listen, it was the Giants who suspended him, and not the NFL. Once again, we're the team acts in front of the league.
And by the way, I would give the Giants a lot of credit because if they suspended him, then they're hurting themselves, but they're doing it for the right reasons, at least. The NBA, if you look at some of the other incidents, look at what happened to Ime Udoka. Okay? The Celtics got on top of that first. They're the ones who suspended him for the year, right?
Yep.
Not the NBA. Adam Silver is smaller than Mini-Me when it comes to handling these situations. I know, I keep saying that. But he acts so small because, I don't want to get yelled at because I'm the bad guy. Listen, when you're the commissioner of a sport, whether you're Roger Goodell, Adam Silver, Rob Manfred, or why am I forgetting the hockey commissioner at the moment?
Gary Bettman.
Yeah, Gary Bettman. You are signing up to be what? The bad guy. That's your job. Your title is bad guy / villain. You're trying to run the sport, even though, excuse me, you're trying to make money for the owners and you're trying to make money for the partners of the league. You have to protect the integrity of the sport. And that's not happening. And that's why guys like Adam Silver can't be a commissioner of the NBA. Roger Goodell, who has way too much power as the NFL commissioner, has way too much power to do what he wants.
And by the way, just because I was trying to look at the schedule. Obviously, the 2023-24 NBA schedule is not out yet, so I'm just going on projected dates based on the 22-23 schedule. A 25-game suspension would put Ja eligible for return around early to mid-December. So guess what? If the Grizzlies get a Christmas game, guess who gets to play?
I mean, I think Morant's been part of the Christmas games before, if I'm not mistaken. So, and you know what? Adam Silver will be ecstatic because he gets one of his stars back to play on Christmas Day. Yay! This is a bad situation.
Hold on. I think we just end on this.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Yep. I mean, that's the best way to put it.
And by the way, we may not be done with Adam Silver here. Time to move on to another story. My favorite, Conor McGregor. So last week we talked about the silly little skit with the
Miami Heat mascot.
Yeah, Bernie, who got punched out and had to get taken to the hospital. And you thought maybe that was just silly, whatever. And now Conor McGregor faces yet another sexual assault allegation. This victim is alleging that basically McGregor took her into a men's bathroom during the game where he proceeded to...
Yeah,
and I make that weird sound because you can fill in the detail there.
Yeah, I mean, so I was following this a lot. I know you guys covered it on Outsiders. I mean, this was a bad story. I mean, if everything is true, what they're alleging and reporting on this story, then shit needs to fly. And like Conor McGregor needs to be in trouble if this is the real story here. You know what I'm saying?
Again, and this will be on a future clip that will come out on the MMA Outsiders account because this was talked about in there. But I told Zan it stretches all the way back to, remember during the Unspoken days when I talked with you and Nick about, hey, when Conor got arrested for throwing the hand dolly through the window of the bus, and I said, it's gonna have to be the commissions who tell Dana we ain't gonna let him fight anymore. But the commissions, they don't do that. The commissions, Nick, barely handle when there's just a basic judging or referee controversy in their fights. You think they're going to let, forbid one of the biggest stars in the sport to do anything, which I actually said on the episode is quite weird when you consider in 1997, they actually revoked Mike Tyson's license, one of the biggest faces in boxing, after biting Evander Holyfield's ear off. And you see the list of crap that Conor McGregor has done. How has he not ever had his license revoked? outside of that 6-month suspension from the whole Khabib thing.
I mean, I think Zan said it right also on MMA Outsiders that, and the clip we put out from MMA Outsiders the other day, that Conor McGregor is so big. He's bigger than the sport of the UFC and combat. So whenever he does anything whatsoever, whether it's an alleged sexual assault or it's an alleged incident of throwing a chair through a dolly and almost killing somebody, or whatever you want to say, and he's had other incidents where he's punched and kicked people in public, he's bigger than the sport. He doesn't care because he knows that he's Conor McGregor with that stupid walk that he does in that stupid gif. Like that stupid, like that
The
stupid
Vince McMahon walk, the power walk.
No, but I'm saying Conor does it too.
Yes,
I mean, like, and like Conor knows that his following is big and he's got that stupid Proper 12 whiskey brand and all that shit. Like, he doesn't care. He just does not care.
He doesn't care. No, you're right. He doesn't care.
I mean,
because he knows.
It's just, and then what makes this whole thing
Can
work?
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Because I was trying. Hold on. Sorry, because I was trying to make a point. But the thing is, this is why sometimes Dana acts the way he acts right now with some of his current stars, because he realized the monster Conor has become. Because the UFC needs Conor McGregor more than Conor McGregor needs the UFC. Conor McGregor, he doesn't need to fight anymore. He can retire and go off into the sunset and do whatever he wants because he's Conor McGregor. Sorry, but you can go make the point that you were going to make.
I was just going to say that he's bigger than the sport. He's bigger than everybody else. Like, he could basically bully Dana White if he wanted to. Like, as much as Dana White hates it and gets mad at Conor, and also you have the USADA BS that he was going through also with the drug testing stuff.
Yeah, that may make his fight with Chandler for December not happen. Which I even said during the Tough Enough stream makes this season of Tough, especially considering that Chandler's team is up 4-0 on McGregor's team. It's becoming a joke. Like, I love doing the stream with Zan, and it does terrific numbers for us here at the network, but it's becoming kind of a joke, the show.
And by the way, people are asking a million questions because, and I heard you talk about it, and I know the reason for this, which I'm about to ask or say, but people are saying, well, why was the incident not addressed? And I'm like, and I know this already because they tape these like 2 to 3 months in advance or something. Yep. So people say, well, why didn't they address it? You really think they're going to do those live? You really thought they were going to do those live? Come on.
It's the UFC, so PR. But I want to play something else, Nick, because the reason that this is part of this show too is because of that second part. So that's the big twist to this story, is that the alleged victim is claiming that the Miami Heat security basically intervened and separated her from her friend in order to allow Conor McGregor to take her into the bathroom. And we have the TMC footage of Conor McGregor entering the bathroom with a person whose face is blurred. And you do hear in the background kind of all this, oh no's, all the oh no's, and like, no, this is bad. And you have one guy by the door, another guy trying to hold people back. Now, obviously, that's all without context. The weird part is, and even Zan said it in the clip, about 30. Actually, Zan and I both pointed out 30 minutes later, the woman is with Conor in a kind of like an after party kind of place. So it's a very weird situation, but it's still not a good look for anybody. The Miami Heat, Conor McGregor, beating the victim a little bit depending on your circumstance. I'm not going to play court and do innocent or guilty here, but I want to play something, Nick, from our show, because I think Zan, so I'm going to share my screen for a little bit. I think Zan made a very interesting point, which I think you're going to love.
This is also a bad look for the NBA too, because the NBA prides themselves on making sure that, the playoffs and the NBA finals are run as smoothly as possible. And obviously this didn't come out until a week after Game 4, if I'm not mistaken. So I think this is also a bad part on the league itself, because they're the ones who are granting these celebrities access into their venue, especially, and it is the NBA Finals, and they could have done a better job to make sure that that both parties were in their separate areas, and how they even connected, to me, is the part that's super questionable. And then you have the video afterward of the alleged victim at a club an hour after the
With Connor.
Yeah, that's really bizarre.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Totally.
Well, no, because I feel like this was your opportunity. You're going to do another blame Adam Silver or something here.
Oh, well, yeah, obviously you can blame Adam Silver for this too, because it is an Adam Silver slip up, because Adam Silver is not paying attention to what's going on during the NBA Finals. And wait, it gets worse. Adam Silver does what during the NBA Finals?
He's supposed to be there.
He's at all the games. He was at Game 4. You're telling me that he had no idea this was going on during an NBA Finals game? Are you kidding? And that the head of Miami Heat security had no idea this was going on either? Really?
This is a really bad look. This is a really bad look. Like that video. That video alone, just the fact, given whatever it is, if this allegation proves to be true or not, the fact that they're letting somebody, granted celebrity or not, like Conor McGregor, bringing a female into a men's bathroom, and you have the cries of "oh no" and people being held back. That is a disastrous look.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, if this is proven to be true and the investigations come back to prove this to be true, the Miami Heat need to be held responsible. The NBA needs to be held responsible. Adam Silver needs to be held responsible. The league needs to be punished in a massive way, because if these allegations come out that there was a sexual assault and a big celebrity like Conor McGregor is the one who did it, and Zan made another good point during the show that the Miami Heat security is supposed to do this whole situation up properly for when celebrities come in that sit in the front row. The one that comes to mind that's the most popular is in Los Angeles, when all the celebrities sit in front,
yep.
or the Knicks in Madison Square Garden, all these celebrities sit in front. You're supposed to take care of all these things and make sure they don't happen. I mean, this would be the biggest thing to happen at, I forgot what it's called now. I think it's went back to American Airlines Arena in Miami, and it'd be the biggest thing to happen there. Conor McGregor allegedly assaults a woman in one of their bathrooms.
Uh-huh.
The NBA already has a black eye for other situations. John Morant, Zion Williamson. Imagine if Conor McGregor takes down the NBA on top of it.
It's a trifecta.
Not the good kind either.
No.
3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Screw Adam Silver.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're like every other NBA fan, including myself, that can't stand the way Adam Silver runs the league. He can't do this. And I'm tired of, they say, oh, any 2-bit lawyer can be a commissioner of sports. No, they can't. Just because you're a lawyer that studies sports law doesn't mean you could run the freaking NBA.
And I fear one of these days something really bad's going to happen because of Adam Silver's, let's call it laissez-faire kind of approach to commissioning a league.
I mean, I'll go back to one last thing, and then we can move on, which is the whole Donald Sterling incident, which he handled perfectly. He came into the league as the new commissioner.
Even if you think he came out too strong, he came off with like the iron fist, in that nobody is going to disrespect me and nobody is going to humiliate the league.
He threw Donald Sterling out of the league like trash on a sidewalk.
He dropped the hammer. The hammer.
And I remember when this happened, and I said, yes, Adam Silver coming in and running the league in a proper way. Adam Silver's going to finally show players that they can't run this league. Well, after that, it was laissez-faire attitude.
Let me just
sit back in my chair like Roger Goodell. Let me go sit in my bubble bath and eat bonbons. You know what? Adam Silver and Roger Goodell should go in the same bubble bath and eat those bonbons together.
Anyway, I'm going to move move on from that.
I'm sorry, did I put a bad image in your head?
Yes. I want to go throw up, and I'm already sick.
All right, let's move on.
All right. Let's go to the college route for a second. We're gonna go back to the NBA to talk about some on-court stuff, some trading. But Bob Huggins back in the news, no longer the West Virginia head coach. However, it does not stem from 6 weeks ago when we talked about the whole incident where he said a homophobic slur on the radio, which, by the way, welcome to hour 2 of Empty the Bench, episode 189.
Yeah, I mean, so for people who don't remember this incident, he went on a AM talk station in Cincinnati and basically, well, I can't sugarcoat it, said a gay slur against, I think, a rival team. It wasn't even his own team. It was a rival team he was playing.
So that was bad, but he got fined a few $1 million. He had to take a pay reduction. He was going to get suspended 3 games. Basically, West Virginia was trying to, punish him, but maintain some form of holding on. And I think, who's the ESPN analysis for college basketball? Pete Thamel?
Oh, Pete Thamel. Yeah.
Thamel. And Thamel basically kind of implied it the night that it happened, that after the Friday night arrest, because he resigned on a Saturday, after the Friday night DUI arrest, basically they couldn't hold on anymore. I don't like that look.
Yeah, so this incident is just, it was bad. I talked about it with Paul Lombardi on 3&D.
I was referring to how you looked like you were reading something. I'm like, oh no, is there something?
No. I don't know. I saw something interesting about the NBA trade we're going to get to. But this is bad. Like I said, I talked about this with Paul on 3&D, which we just brought over our new NBA and college basketball show, which is actually appropriate for these topics.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Bob Huggins is, I think, 69 or 70 years old. And apparently this is the second time he got a DUI. That's why he had to resign and step down. And I think the last one was like 20 years ago in 2004. But
it doesn't help that it came 6 weeks after you already provoked one controversy that had people wanting you to resign.
Oh, no. Trust me, I'm not giving him any carte blanche whatsoever. He's an idiot, and he deserves to be gone. And basically, West Virginia basically allowed him to resign and retire.
But I was going to say, basically, Thamel was kind of implying that they made all these contract moves, but it seemed like basically they were going to, even though he had 3 years left, they were going to basically have him do one more year and then kind of push him out.
The reason people are talking about that, he had contract language where basically if he did another stupid incident, they were going to knock money off the contract. It was in the contract as language. Yeah. So he commits another incident. Apparently he was driving around in a car.
Beer cans everywhere. Had no
beer
idea
cans everywhere
he was in,
including in the middle of the console, which of all places is the dumbest thing you can do as a driver.
And apparently he had failed the sobriety test multiple times. Had no idea where he was. I know his daughter or somebody has been posting to social media trying to defend him and say that story is overblown, out of proportion. But point is, he has a DUI. It is a legal issue.
I mean, I'll say it once again. He had prior history with a DUI.
Yes.
So him committing another DUI, I hate to say this because I feel bad saying this, but I had a feeling he was going to do it again.
Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. We're not going to, he had one incident. Okay. 2 incidents plus the already PR nightmare that he had the previous month. And no.
I mean, don't get me wrong. And I said this to Paul, I'll say it to you, that was he a great coach? Did he do a good job with the job he did? Yes. But that doesn't excuse the off the field incidents or off the court incidents that happen. 2 DUIs, the gay slur. I hate to say this again, but 3 strikes and you're out again. There's no defending you. And I hate this because they do it for coaches and they do it for star players. He got defended. He lasted way longer than he should have been as the coach of West Virginia.
At least 6 weeks longer.
It also doesn't help that he was an alumni to the college.
Yeah.
So, of course, they're going to defend him even more. And, you have to remember the boosters and all that nonsense. They have to make money too. So
Well, I guess that's kind of why to replace him, they're not they're interviewing from within, but they're going to make it a national search now, West Virginia.
well, that's not a surprise. The job is. I asked Paul. I said, "What do you think of this job?" And he's like, "It's actually a good job."
Well, some people are calling it, and Thamel made mention of it. Some people are calling it one of the most lucrative jobs in college basketball right now.
I don't know if I go that far, but it's definitely up there in the top 5. I would say for sure. But
That I should say that are available.
yeah, I agree with you. But Bob Huggins is a jerk. He did himself in. Like John Morant did himself in, and Zion Williamson did himself in. Bob Huggins did himself in too. And I was listening to the radio the other day, and people were saying that the Bob Huggins situation was worse than John Morant.
Maybe because technically Ja isn't held, has a sort of crime attached to him. You even made mention it yourself that you can legally hold a gun. Like Bob Huggins, this is going to be on his record. This and another DUI are both going to be on his record forever.
Right, but I could also say that Bob Huggins actually has charges to his record, and Ja doesn't. I mean, like, and people are saying, well, because he's responsible for kids. So they're saying he's responsible for a team, and that's why the situation is worse than John Morant. I mean, that's debatable in a lot of instances.
I mean, there's a yes to that, but there is also the yes that John Morant is a bigger public figure than Bob Huggins is.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Bob Huggins is a big name. When you hear Bob Huggins, you know instantly who you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been around a long time. He was probably going to retire within the next, 2 to 3 years anyway.
Maybe.
Probably. Yeah. And the sad part is, and I said it on 3&D.
You wish he could have had a better ending.
Yes, but the other thing I'm going to say is, I think this is goodbye for now. I think someone down the road after a year off from coaching, and I think what's even worse, the media will come calling.
So in other words, you think he still has a chance to have a good ending. It's just going to come with another year off or something like that.
And let me be clear, I don't think he deserves it at all. But someone will be desperate enough. Some team will pay him a ridiculous amount of money and say, come coach, we'll let you repair your image for a year or two. We'll let you come by and fix the reputation that you don't deserve to have anymore. And it's going to suck. And we know it's going to have, he'll go off. I think he's already been part of the media when he left. First of all, I think he was on Big Ten or something on Fox, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was part of one of the college NBA shows. So college basketball shows. So he's done this before. The media will come calling. He's a big name. So
fair.
We'll see what happens.
All right. Let's get to some on the court stuff that does relate to basketball into the NBA. Let's talk about some trades and options and stuff because it is now officially the NBA offseason. We're only a week away from one of your favorite times of the year, NBA free agency.
Yay. Yes.
And tonight is the NBA draft, which we will have live coverage for alongside Paul and Hank.
Yeah, so after you watch this show from 3 to whenever it's over, come join us live at 7:45 p.m. Eastern time. We'll do a little pre-show for you, get you ready for the draft. Victor Wembanyama, big story in the draft. Going number 1 overall to the Spurs. Why you probably ask, why are we saying that? We already know. He's the biggest thing since LeBron James.
Yeah, but there's also the madness that could happen. Like Scooter, is he going to go number 2 or number 3? Are there going to be any trades that'll happen over the course of the draft?
Will Zion get traded? I mean, that'll all be interesting topics to really get into. But
I mean, it's in my opinion, it's not the NFL draft, but you know what? The NBA draft is still damn close.
And thank God it's only 2 rounds.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into the actual on the court moves that have been discussed over the last week. Couple of big moves. God. Bradley Beal has been traded from the Washington Wizards to the Phoenix Suns to form a new big 3 alongside Booker and Kevin Durant. In exchange, CP3 in Phoenix no more. He heads to Washington, as does Landry Shamet, and a package of future second-round picks and multiple pick swaps. And they may not be done because the Wizards are playing around with potentially moving Chris Paul as well, potentially a reunion with the Clippers for CP3.
Or the Lakers.
Or
I've
the
heard the
Lakers,
Lakers too. First of all, Chris Paul, where he found out, was on the plane going to Good Morning America.
His son texting him.
But I'm sure Chris Paul, when he heard he was going to the Wizards, I mean, quite literally, I mean, the Wizards of all places. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure I traveled to Washington to see the Nationals ballpark. Washington's a nice place. I'm not complaining about it, but I don't think anyone's going to see the Wizards.
But my point. Well, here's the thing, Nick. You go from a team like the Phoenix Suns that has all that star power. As much as we talk about all the egos that are going to be in there next season, all that star power that's there, and even still now with Bradley Beal being acquired, and you're getting shit from that to the wonderful world of the Wizards.
I mean, Bradley Beal was their only star. Kyle Kuzma opted out of his $13 million. I mean, like, there's nothing there. It's Chris Paul and nobody. I mean,
if I'm CP3, I'm begging, please flip me again.
Please let me out of here. Please
flip me to Hollywood.
Yeah. And when I saw this deal, I was like, we all knew Bradley Beal was going to get traded at some point. I didn't think it was going to be right after the ink has barely dried on his new contract for 5 years, $250 million, if I'm not mistaken. I should probably look that up because I don't remember the number off the top of my head. But that ink is not dry. 5 years, $251 million. So now the Wizards, I don't know who's on the hook for. I'm assuming the Suns are probably going to be on the hook for all that. But the Suns, between Beal, Booker, and Durant, those three, the big three, which I'll get into.
Yay, another damn super team.
Well, you're going to be surprised what I have to say in a minute or so. But $164 million between Booker, Durant, and who am I leaving out? Beal.
Yeah.
That's per season, $164 million.
Oh, hold on. You say per season?
Those three are already over the cap. Over the cap. By far.
Which means it's time to do some more dealing.
I mean, Matt Ishbia, which, by the way, I give him a lot of credit because he came in, bought the team, and is willing to spend the money to make the team. But they're already way over with those three guys. So basically, they're going to pull a Miami Heat, where they're going to look for all the
Steve Cohen.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about from the scrap heap standpoint, where basically they had LeBron, they had Wade, and 10% of Chris Bosh, but they had those three guys, and then they basically put all these guys around that were basically minimum guys. That's all you can afford, unless you're going to pull a Golden State Warriors and go all the way over the cap and not care.
But the question is, and we've talked about it with the success of the Miami Heat versus some of these other teams where they try to replicate the super team, can you put those minimum guys and have it be this kind of chemistry? Can they be legitimately good role players? Can the Suns do that? Can they find those right pieces?
Well, all right. Let me address the big three first, and then I can address the bench pieces. So, KD, Booker, and Bradley Beal, in my opinion, is the worst big three I've seen out of all the big threes. And the reason I say that is the egos. This is going to be the biggest ego trio out of all the big threes I've seen. That's number one. Number two, all three guys are ball dominant. Completely. So 3 ball dominant guys in a big three, that's not going to work. KD needs the ball nonstop. Bradley Beal needs the ball nonstop. And Devin Booker needs the ball nonstop. There's not enough basketball for these 3 guys.
Okay, what about the bench players? What about can they fill it out with the right role players to lead this team to success?
Well, so what's going to happen is it's what Denver did, except they weren't way over, but they got guys to come play the trade deadline. The Suns, now you're going to get all these in-between guys who are either veterans or guys that are two-way guys that are going to want to come to the Suns and take less to win. But KD is not a leader, as we've proven that already. Devin Booker, he's too busy being with Kardashians and not worrying about what's on the court. And Bradley Beal, who's Bradley Beal? I mean, don't get me wrong, good player, but you really think he's going to be a leader? He's not a leader. So you have 3 guys who are not leaders. They're good players. I should say great players, not just good, great players, and they can score. But no one's going to be the leader. Who's taking the last shot out of those 3? I'm assuming it's probably KD.
You just saw 3 hands go up.
Well, yeah, because the egos are higher than anything. But you can't teach chemistry. You can't teach it. You got to learn it, and you got to hope that it works out. KD is isolated from everybody. He's too busy running his Venture 35 or whatever they call boardroom content, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think trading CP3 was a mistake. I do. And I think CP3 was technically the glue guy. When he wasn't injured, he actually was making that team go. Now, we also forget that DeAndre Ayton is still on this team as a big man. Now, why do you think Monty Williams is not with the Suns anymore? Besides the team not basically being pressured to change their coach. Him and DeAndre Ayton got into fights nonstop.
And now imagine what this locker room will be like.
Devin Booker's a head case. I hate to say this, but he is a massive head case. For a young guy, yelling at referees, getting texts, he's the younger Rasheed Wallace. I mean, great player. They're all great players. And does this trade benefit the Suns? Absolutely, it benefits the Suns. But they now don't have a draft pick until 2030. First rounder until 2030.
Oof.
They mortgaged their future all the way to 2030. Because remember, the KD trade with the Nets. 2 massive deals. All their pick swaps, all their second rounders, all their first rounders. They basically have no currency until 2030.
Well, they better, if this was Monopoly, I would say, well, you better not land on Boardwalk, otherwise you're going bankrupt.
That's like where you buy every houses on everything else, and then by accident, oops, I don't have $2,000 to pay the hotel. I have to mortgage every hotel and house I put up there. And I'm like, the Suns are, I don't know, I would say the luxury tax between Boardwalk and Park Place. Like, you have to hope that you don't land on it and you'll win, but if you land on it, you're fucked. And Ishbia has money. That's not the issue. The owners that have money are willing to spend over. Steve Ballmer, to name one, to be honest, with the Clippers, who has Microsoft money, to be honest. But now they're having a situation. Paul George is now on the block, so to speak, to be traded. And they're trying to break up Kawhi and Paul George. By the way, they should have done that a long time ago. Because Paul George hasn't panned out. That Paul George has been a bust. And Kawhi Leonard, I don't remember the last time he's played a game. I mean, it is what it is. They better hope that this big 3 works, because they've pretty much mortgaged their future for close to 10 years or more for this.
I mean, close to 10 years. You said 2030, so about 7 years or so.
But it's going to hurt them even more if they don't have the capital, because they're going to have to trade in other assets to get assets back. I mean, I give the Nets a lot of credit, by the way.
March 21st was the last time Paul George played in a game. March 21st. He didn't play for the last few weeks of the season.
Yeah, they were lucky they got him back, and then he got hurt again in the playoffs. But the Nets, which I give them a lot of credit for, because I was angry when that whole situation happened. By the way, Casent Net fan here, if people didn't know. But I give them credit because they basically replenished their system of picks by getting rid of KD. And you know what? It was the smartest thing they ever did, getting out from under KD, because he got hurt again with the Suns.
I mean, it was already smart because, I mean, how many times did we make reference to it, Nick, that they got out of the hellhole of KD and Kyrie and they still made the playoffs. And the Suns choked out. The Suns choked out the Mavericks, which Kyrie went to, didn't even make the playoffs. It was kind of a blessing for the Nets.
And they have all the currency laughing to the bank there with all the picks. I mean, it is what it is. I hope it works out for the Suns, because the Suns haven't won a title in God knows how long. But if it works, great. If it doesn't, they're screwed.
Well, that wasn't the only deal that happened over this past week. In fact, we've had a deal, Nick, that is not even 24 hours old right now, in which a deal has been finalized that involves, it's a 3-team deal with Memphis, Boston, and Washington. So Washington's still not done with its wheeling deal, and I think it's far from done. So we've got Kristaps Porzingis, our old friend in here in New York, who's on the move again. And he is heading to the Celtics along with 2 first-round picks. The number 25 pick tonight, which was originally Golden State's, which Memphis later got, and now it's in the possession of Boston. Memphis is also going to send a 2024 first to Boston. And in return, Memphis is going to get Marcus Smart, and Tyus Jones is going to go over to Washington.
Yeah, I'm stunned. Like, I'm stunned because originally it was looking like this deal was off the table. Now
it was on, then it was off, and now it's back on.
It's on in a massive way. Let's put it that way. It went from being small to 3 teams with 2 big names technically being moved. If you consider Kristaps a big name, I guess you could say he's a name. And Marcus Smart, which, what does that tell you about the Celtics, that they moved Marcus Smart, who was their defensive anchor of that team?
I mean, here's the thing. I said that the Celtics were a favorite. I am one of my favorites out of the East to potentially, win the championship for 23-24. But now that they're acquiring 2 first-round picks, trading away their big defensive gun like Marcus Smart, and as much as KP can be talented, we know he's not what he was once promised to be. Is Boston basically saying, Nick, uncle?
You know what I think? No, actually, what I think they're doing is they're sacrificing defense for offense. That's what they're doing right here. And Marcus Smart is a nice piece. I would even say like an A- piece. I wouldn't even call him a B.
But how much is Boston ruining its defense by doing this? I mean,
he was Defensive Player of the Year with the Celtics, and he was in the top 5 every year. He was with the team. Now, it took him a while to get his scoring game going. He had some great games offensively.
I mean, I'm sure, but is KP and whoever they're going to get in the first round tonight, are they going to be able to make up for what Marcus Smart had? I don't know. I still consider Boston, a top team in the East, but losing somebody like him is a little damaging. They're going to have to pray that the youth that they're going to get over these next 2 years is going to deliver.
I think part of this is they wanted a big man because they didn't really have a true big man. Because to win
KP,
in today's
I guess,
game,
is going to kind of fill that role.
You need a big man. Look at what just happened in Denver with the Nuggets, with Jokic. I mean, that guy was dominant. The Miami Heat could not stop him. And if Denver had gone to him more in the beginning of that series, this would have been a sweep in the NBA Finals. If they literally fed the ball to Jokic the whole series, Miami wouldn't have won a game. So now they really didn't have a predominant big man. Al Horford is doesn't play like a big man. He plays like a half elbow 3-point guy. But it's the facts. That's what he is. I mean, so now there's a predominant big man, probably almost 7 foot, or probably is 7 foot, who can now dominate the post and has range. If you think about this, it is a little bit like Jokic, not the talent of Jokic. Let me be very clear about that.
Yeah, please.
But Kristaps has the range to drive the ball, be in the paint. That'll allow kickouts to Tatum and Brown. I think this also opens up the lane to now bring back Tatum on that large max deal, which is going to be $295 million on a super max. But having that big man allows you to spread the floor, which is what Boston's problem was. They could not spread the floor because they constantly were getting double teamed. That's why Tatum was basically iced for most of that series with Miami, going down 3-0. So, interesting deal. I'm stunned. I'm still shocked that Marcus Smart was traded to the Grizzlies. Now,
little add on to this. The Celtics are going to send the 35th pick on tonight's draft to Washington as well.
God, draft picks galore going on here. I mean, I mean, the Grizzlies gained a massive player here. They needed somebody in the worst way. Now because no one with Ja being out 25 games, suspension wise, you now bring in a guy like Marcus Smart. I don't know if he's going to be a leader, but he could be that motivational leader to hold this team together and really make them stronger. But what did Washington get out of this? I mean,
Tyus Jones at number 35. That's it.
It's almost like they were Kristaps. Well, not Kristaps, but the Wizards were trying to salary dump. Is what they were really trying to do.
Well, plus there's, like we literally just said in our last segment, Chris Paul. They're probably going to flip over to LA anyways. One of the LA teams.
I mean, this is quite literally rebuild at zero right now.
That's what it looks like for. Yeah, I was saying about the tapping out for Boston. That Washington is completely going out.
Boston's not tapping out. Actually, this is a move that's hopefully going to benefit them having a big man down low and allow them to spread.
I see your point now. I just think maybe it's a little risky sending the guy who was your defensive leader over to the Grizzlies. This is a huge benefit. I agree with you on that. This is a huge for Memphis.
Yeah, and I said this to you many times. I'll say it again, that this is an offensive league now. This is not the 1990s anymore where defense was considered prominent. You had to play good defense to remain in the NBA. This is all, remember, we're in 2023 now. It's all about offense. We only care about who can drive the ball, who can shoot threes, who can put up 30 to 40 points a game. And if you play defense, great. If not, no one cares.
Fair enough.
What do you do? I mean, Boston was having a problem trying to get over the hump. They made it to the finals and they got beat.
I just can't believe we went from they're trying to acquire KP to it's completely off to, okay, we're going to send our defensive player of the year because we need KP. Like you said, it kind of just, the intensity of this deal exploded.
It's crazy because, like we said, we were following this deal the whole way and we thought it was off. And now two other teams got involved. And I didn't know the Grizzlies were even a factor in this deal. No one knew. Now, again, this is, you know what? I got to be fair. Originally, I was going to say that the Grizzlies are desperate, but I can't say they're desperate. It's they had an unfair situation drop in their lap. So I don't know if I would call that desperation. It's a great pickup. And there's going to be motivation. That there's some young guys there, like with Marcus Smart's help on the defensive end of the ball. Now, who knows what their situation is going to be if Ja was there and there was no suspension?
Yeah, I was going to say, well, let's see if Ja smartens up in more than one way.
I mean, think about that. If Ja was there, I know, because now everyone's going to say, well, if Ja Morant didn't get suspended for whatever amount of games, what would happen now with this deal? But who knows if they make this deal if Ja's not suspended?
I don't think they do.
Because they're not as desperate.
Like, that's my first instinct is to say, I don't think they do this deal if Ja's there. And again, who knows if Ja's even going to get suspended for 25 games? I think it's a little, I think it's a little ridiculous. It's only 25 games, but we just said with the NBPA, it's probably only going to be 12.
And you know what's interesting? The Boston Celtics, 13 hours ago from when we're recording this, put out a tweet with a Marcus Smart video of his highlights. And it's a quote from Marcus Smart that says, I go out there and leave everything I have on the floor. Oops.
Well, changes.
So here's the full complete deal because I'm looking at it like just in a much easier way. Celtics receive Kristaps Porzingis, number 23 pick in the 2023 draft, 2024 first round pick. Grizzlies receive Marcus Smart. Wizards receive Tyreek Jones. The Celtics made out like bandits for whatever reason. And they barely traded anything. They traded Marcus Smart. You know what? Part of this has to do with the NBA draft. Also, tonight, people are wheeling and dealing to make their teams better. Remember, this is the NBA offseason now. It's the best time, in my opinion.
And then this week we got the draft, and next week we got free agency.
Oh, forget it. You thought trades were bad now. Wait until free agency comes up. And I thought the Suns deal was crazy when we talked about that. Like, I don't know. It's amazing. Woj makes our lives hell. Adrian Wojnarowski, Sham Charania.
It seems like Draymond Green's time in a Golden State Warriors uniform, he has officially declined his player option.
And you know what he said? Well, not really. He wasn't saying that because he declined his deal.
No, you know what he said? He said, "Bye, Felicia."
Well, that's true. That too. But the reason he's saying what the fuck is because he thinks he's worth more than $27.5 million, I think was the player option number.
I mean, he's definitely going to be one of the bigger names out there in free agency come next week.
Yes, but he's not getting more. I don't think he's getting more than 27.5. This is Draymond's ego speaking out now. And by the way, if he doesn't get drafted by Golden State, he doesn't have this career at all. If he's with the Pistons or I don't know, Wizards, just the effing Draymond Green does not become a thing whatsoever. You don't win 4 titles. You're not the big defensive player of the year guy or the big defensive anchor of this team. I get it. There's a lot of money out there right now because there are guys making $40 million a year, including a certain Dame Lillard for the Trailblazers, who got a 2-year, $60 million deal, I think last offseason or the season before. And we didn't even have time to get to that nonsense because Dame Lillard, the rumors that we keep hearing about that as well, is like Draymond, where he's basically fronting and saying, well, I'm declining my option. I'm going to go see what my options are, but I'm not leaving. And I think that's the same thing with Draymond. I don't think Draymond's going anywhere. I think this is Draymond saying, I'm opting out. I want to be a free agent. Give me a new deal. But you have to pay Clay. You would have to pay Draymond. You have Steph Curry's contract, which is massive right now. You just gave Jordan Poole $20 million a year. How are you affording this? Unless the Warriors are just going to say, F it, and we're just going to go way over the cap. I don't know. Would you go over the cap for Draymond? I don't think I would.
I don't know if I would.
Now, I know there's certain rules, like to retain your own guys. Technically, you can go over the cap. But I need to look at the Warriors cap number because I don't know exactly what the cap situation. So they were $215 million. $215 million. That's way over the cap number. I think the cap number was $132 million, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't see. And the Joe Lacob, who's the owner of the Warriors, came out and spoke to the media.
Their current luxury tax base, according to Spot Track, their current luxury tax base is negative $17,349,673 dollars. Total cap allocations is about $247 million. Their current cap space in the salary cap maximum is negative $111 million. Super tax apron space negative $4 million. They're not going to afford Draymond. They're not going to bring him back.
So according to that, they're $111 million over, which means they're fucked.
Which means Draymond ain't coming back. Which means, is what's his name? Is what's his name going to come back? It just slipped out of my mind.
What, Clay?
Clay, thank you.
Well, they're gonna pick one of them, and I think Clay's the one that's going to come back because Clay can shoot the ball. This is
but how can you afford Clay on those numbers that I just read to you?
Again, he's been with the franchise, so they can retain guys over the cap.
I mean, fair, but what else about the rest of that team then?
I mean, you already have guys signed, so you have Steph, you have Clay. You can definitely build around those two guys who are offensive guys. Draymond Green is a headache. I've said this a million times. The podcast, the ego with the media, the getting into it. And you know what? I should say this about Draymond too. He's the modern day Rasheed Wallace, yelling at referees and getting texts and not caring. Like, he'll just run his mouth.
Welcome to the Rasheed Wallace episode of Empty the Bench.
I know, really. And by the way,
Rasheed Wallace.
And he attacked Jordan Poole, his own teammate, before the season started.
Right.
All over a pool, no pun intended. But the Warriors need to let him go. They need to let him go. And I know because Draymond Green goes after everybody. I'm sure if he ever saw this, fuck you. You don't know me. I won 4 titles. And okay, you won 4 titles. Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay. You won 4 titles. But you're probably the biggest ego and one of the worst guys in the NBA to be around.
Oof.
I'll throw LeBron James in that conversation too.
Of course you will.
But LeBron has won 5 titles. Okay? He's not the best guy either when it comes to ego and handling himself. But now the rumor is that LeBron and Draymond and both of their wives were hanging out on a beach somewhere.
So you're insinuating that Draymond might have his eye on LA.
There is a rumor that he could go to LA with LeBron James.
Oh boy.
I'm not condoning that by any means necessary, but all I could say is that would be like LeBron and who's the one that blew in his ear?
Lance Stevenson?
Lance Stevenson when they were on the same team together. Because I remember LeBron saying, "Oh, we could be good teammates." Yeah, okay. And pigs can fly.
All right. Let's talk about some NFL drama off the field. Jack Jones, the Patriots cornerback, in his just second season in the league or something, pleads not guilty to 9 gun charges. He was arrested on June 19th. They looked on his carry-on luggage in an airport and found 2 firearms.
By the way, I haven't done this yet. I mean, and people are going to say, why'd you do that? And I'm going to be, because why do you have 2, not just 2 firearms? They were loaded firearms in his carry-on luggage. And guess what? The TSA caught them. Genius. And apparently, Ben Cruz was one of our new guys on the network that was doing Game On with Hank, big Boston fan, by the way, said that there apparently was a sign when you walked into I think it was Logan International Airport, which is one of the biggest airports in Boston. It says no suspicious items or firearms.
Here's a statement, by the way, from his lawyer, Rosemary C.
I saw this.
Ticcio. All Mr. Jones wants to do is play football. He doesn't want to be a distraction at all. He had no intention of bringing any guns onto an airport that day. Well, guess what? He's not going to be playing football because he's probably going to get a suspension from the wheel of punishment.
By the way, he just said that he didn't mean to bring guns into the airport and he just wants to play football.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop you fucking lying.
I mean, how am I supposed to take that statement seriously? 9 charges, which he pled not guilty to all of them, because, that's in your favor.
And it doesn't help that at the end of last season, he and Albert Breer got into it because he took exception to Breer's reporting about him being late to rehab sessions or missing rehab sessions and talking back with Bill Belichick. Which, if there's one thing you do not talk back to the hoodie.
Yeah, you don't talk back to the hoodie. And by the way, he's not going to be with this organization. Let's just be upfront now.
No.
I mean, and apparently last season he had issues. And going all the way back to, I don't know if it was USC or wherever he was, he got in trouble there. Then he transferred to another college, had to sit out the whole season for incident. This is a bad guy.
This is a really really bad situation. And I'm just using bad as kind of an understatement. This is not a good look for Jack Jones. Knowing the culture of the Patriots, I would not be surprised if this is Jack Jones's end in a Patriots uniform. He's a second-year player. He's a second-year player. It's like, he's a second-year player, hasn't really proven himself. We'll go get another cornerback.
Yeah, that's pretty much what's going to happen. I mean, this is a bad look. Yeah, the hood. Yep.
I'm not going to let Jack... I can't even do it. My voice is so screwed up, I can't even do it.
Well, we're just going to go with the news, and we're off to Cincinnati.
Damn it, you took my joke. Jack Jones is not going to humiliate this organization anymore. We're going to move on from him. No, we're not off to Cincinnati. We're actually off to Cleveland this week.
I mean, here's the long and the short of it, okay? That he's going to be out of the league. He's going to be out of the league. Whether he's guilty or not, we know what happens with charges in the NFL. When you're cooked, you're cooked. And Jack Jones is cooked like a turkey. And when I say cooked like a turkey, I mean roasted.
Roasted, basted. He is a complete Thanksgiving turkey on the table at this point.
Yeah, that's the nicest way we can really say it. 2 loaded fucking firearms in your carry-on.
But you know who he's not? Tyreek Hill, who is now under investigation for assault and battery. So, like I said, on the second edition of the Rolling Thunder Bullshit Mountain review of the Unspoken Podcast Days, we had the breaking news of Tyreek Hill's child abuse allegations. And now here he is under investigation for assault and battery. And it sounds like it's going to get worse.
Yeah, so Tyreek Hill has had a history. If you look back at this episode, you're going to notice that a lot of these stories, these guys have had prior history of incidents. And it's hard to defend these guys because once you have prior history, how do we defend you? We can't defend you.
Here's the full story coming from local Channel 10 down there in Miami. Miami Dolphins star Tyreek Hill is under investigation by the Miami-Dade Police Department. Local 10 News has learned the wide receiver allegedly hit a man working at the Hoover Marina. Hill shared a story in an Instagram story over the weekend showing a Father's Day celebration on a boat. According to a tip received by Local 10 News, at around 6 p.m. Eastern Sunday, Hill got into some kind of disagreement with an employee of one of the charter companies based at Hoover Marina that apparently ended with Hill hitting the man. Sources later told Local 10 News that Hill's group was fishing for a tarpon from the dock at the marina, which is not allowed. Tarpon are protected in Florida. Those sources said a 57-year-old employee who works at the Kelly Fishing Fleet informed the group of the rule, which led to an argument and ended with Hill hitting the man in the back of the head. It is unclear if the man was injured, but on Monday, Miami-Dade police were seen at the marina, and on Tuesday, the department confirmed an investigation was underway involving Hill. Several experts said if Hill is charged, it will likely be for a simple battery, which is a misdemeanor. Those experts denied reports the alleged victim in the case isn't pressing charges and said even if that were the case, police and the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office could pursue charges independently.
Yeah, this is not good news. I mean, the problem is, though, and this is going to go back to what we said before, Tyreek Hill is considered a big name in the NFL. And what happens to big names in sports? Nothing! Absolutely nothing. Now, if there's federal charges, then...
But it's only going to be a misdemeanor.
Well, I'm saying if it got elevated to higher charges.
Which it's not going to be. So, you know what's going to happen? It's the return of our favorite person in the world. Two checks Goodell.
Roger Two Checks Goodell, everybody.
Or 2 games Goodell, whatever.
Same thing. But I missed that guy. I was wondering where he is. He took a long hiatus. He went on a vacation, like out of the country, and came back. I mean...
He was negotiating for another jet.
Oh, well, you could use that word 2 ways. But my point is that this is a bad situation. And we all know he's going to be back with the Dolphins. He's not going anywhere. This is pretty much go handle your shit and come back when you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Sucks, right. But oh well.
Time for baseball.
Oh, God.
We begin with the reverse boycott held by the Oakland A's fans. So, Oakland A's fans, the news is obviously out there. We've talked about it for weeks on end. They're going to become the Las Vegas A's by 2025 or 2026 or something like that. So, there have been no people showing up to the stadium. Nick, as of Wednesday night, they're like 19-55 or something like that. They are the worst team in Major League Baseball by a damn mile. 19-57, pardon me. And yes, they actually lost tonight on the night we're recording, so it could be 57 or 58 or something like that.
By the way, that's with a 7-game win streak in the middle, isn't it?
Yes. So, I mean, Nick, there's still a chance that this team could actually beat the 62 Mets for worst ever in a 162-game season.
Yeah, this is bad. This is not a good situation. It gets
what
worse.
The A's fans decided to do was, since they couldn't boycott, because I mean, how else lower can you go? I mean, Nick, what did I say last week? What John Fisher is doing is literally the plot of Major League. Literally, where the antagonist is trying to make the team suck so bad that they move to somewhere nicer. So what they decided to was instead fill the ballpark. And as they filled the ballpark, there was chance of sell the team. There were chance of sell the team?
No, it was a certain F the A's also.
Or F John Fisher. At the 5th inning, they actually went silent for a whole at-bat.
I mean, here's the problem I have with this reverse boycott.
I understand what they're doing, and man, that's fantastic. It's hilarious what they did, but John Fisher don't care. And you know who else doesn't care? Where is it? There he is.
Good old Rob Manfred. I mean, here's the thing. Before we get to this guy, the reverse boycott. And here's the problem I have. Why would you put money in his pocket? Why would you put money in his pocket?
I think the logic is to show him that if you actually invested your team instead of doing the cheap owner thing and putting it all in your pocket and make the team suck so bad, if you actually invested in this team, we would come out and support you.
I get it, but the whole point is if you break the team to the point where all the fans don't show up and there's no one there and there's no money being made, maybe you would have made the point more than reverse boycotting and filling the stadium.
But I mean, I get what they were doing, but I support more than you, but I think damage is done. I think John Fisher's mind is made up. He is gone. He is done. You know, the damage is absolutely done after all these years. And Oco Stadium's fallen apart. Might as well just move over to Vegas or something, which has been a whole issue in itself. But I mean, can we move on to the guy now? Because I want to.
I just wanted to say you're being nice about the stadium, by the way, by saying it's falling apart. It's a self-infested rat hole, no pun intended. I mean, the broadcast booth, the opposing team's broadcast booth, has a freaking what's it called? Living in it, possum living in it because it made a house in there. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much that. Okay, now we can get to the other guy.
All right.
So, good old Rob Manfred.
Because again, it goes back to what we said for weeks. Not only is John Fisher's mind made up, he wants it. Let's be clear. MLB wants a team in Vegas. They want part of that Vegas Major League Sports money. And so if Rob Manfred wants it, he's going to act. That's why he's so willing to let the A's be what they are, because he knows the opportunity is there for them to be in Vegas. And,
I mean, can I say one thing, which is that they were so desperate to get the team to LA, they waived the fee. They waived the expansion fee.
Yeah.
For them, or not expansion fee. What's it called?
Relocation fee.
Relocation fee. They waived the fucking relocation fee to allow the A's to go to Vegas. That never happens. Never. That's how desperate Rob Manfred was to get a team in Vegas. Look, the NFL did it. The NHL did it. MLB's now doing it. And eventually the NBA is going to have a team in Vegas. We all know it's going to happen.
And for him to say, the problem is that's making me like this is here. I'm trying to get the exact quotings here. Here's the quote. It was great. Hang on, I lost it again.
Oh, you're talking about when he was asked about.
He was asked about the reverse boycott, and he says, "quote It was great. It's great to see what is this year almost an average Major League Baseball crowd in the facility for one night. That's a great thing." cannot believe you are a commissioner of the sport and you're trying to take a shot like that when that owner, that owner has done nothing to help his team. The fact that they had the run that they had last year was an absolute miracle. It was making something out of nothing, like we talk about the Rays are so great at doing. But you know what? The A's haven't had that success year in and year out. It's been occasional here and there, but like their best years usually they make a wild card and they lose or something like that. Make the division series and they lose.
Couple seasons ago, they had a 90+ win team, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, this is bad. It's bad.
I get it. The A's have not been producing the kind of numbers attendance-wise that you want for baseball. But you listen to these records, okay? I'm going to go through them. Not counting this year. So 2022, 60 and 102. 2021, 86 and 76. 2020, I don't really count because nobody was there that year. 2019, 97 and 65. 2018, 97 and 65. 2017, 75 and 87. 2016, 96, 69 and 93. 2015, 68 and 94. 2014, 88 and 74. And they have not made the American League Championship since 2006. Everything else has been a wild card loss or has been a loss in the American League Division Series.
Wait, but at least they competed.
Right. They haven't really competed over the last 10 years or so.
No, but I'm saying in a couple of those 90-win seasons, I'm guaranteeing you they were either close to the division or a wild card.
Yes.
So this was a desperation, a cry for help, because that stadium was in trouble.
But you as the commissioner want to go and take a shot like that and call them, oh, it's an almost average ballpark.
And by the way, if you want a good read on this, on our website, etbpodcast.com, Hank really did a great write-up on the way John Fisher is. He knows more baseball history than all of us combined on the sports side of this network. He really threw a shit fit on John Fisher and went after Rob Manfred. But when I read that statement that you just read, and he's like, oh, well, it's an average attendance for the year. My reaction was, because that's your answer for a team that's averaging 2,000 to 3,000 fans a game? That's your answer?
By saying it's great for you to come out and support. Meanwhile, what has the owner done to do anything? So here's my question. So no, here's my question. So now let's take a team that Major League Baseball would actually care about. Let's do the one thing that I know most Yankee fans can't stand to do. And let's say the Yankees traded Aaron Judge, traded Giancarlo Stanton, and went into full rebuild mode because it's the Yankees. Or let's take the Dodgers and they trade away Mookie Betts and Clayton Kershaw and all the good people. Are you going to act then? And, and the Steinbrenners or the Dodgers owners are going to put all their money in their pocket and not invest in a team and they suck. Are you going to care then? Is it because that this is the freaking A's and you want Vegas? Is that why you don't care?
I mean, the thing that's going for those teams, like the Mets, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Cubs, they're all major market teams in major marketplaces.
If this was a major market team, would you be caring?
I would. I would absolutely.
You're not Rob Manfred.
Because one, the Yankees went through a tough stretch after. Well, they still. Let me take that back. They've been on a tough stretch in 2009 when they won the World Series.
Nick, not my point. If you're Rob Manfred, is it because the A's are not a major market team? Like you said, if this was the Phillies or the Yankees or the Cubs or the Dodgers doing this, would he all of a sudden start to care and want to punish the teams for tanking and trying to relocate and stuff?
Well,
not trying to relocate because it's a major market team, but punishing them for tanking.
First of all, I would throw that BS tanking rule out the window because so far they have not done anything to combat that whatsoever. So I would throw that out the window because they're not dealing with it. But I think you're partially right that because they're not a major market team, that they don't get the same attention that the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Cubs, get. And I'll tell you right now, as soon as the A's move out of Oakland and go to Vegas, they're instantly going to get more attention than some teams that are even major market teams.
But now here's my question. I think I asked this last week or 2 weeks ago. What happens if they move and Fisher still doesn't invest in the team? Is he going to care then?
It's a good question. I mean, he's going to BS and try to get all the sponsors of the gambling companies, which are going to put the money in his pocket, not his own money. And I guarantee you it's going to be like FanDuel Stadium, or it's going to be some kind of ridiculous name. And first of all, and I don't like this, but Vegas is an attraction city, not a destination city. Like in New York, we go to the games because we want to go to the games. We want to go to Yankee Stadium. We want to go to Citi Field. Or in LA, we want to go to Dodger Stadium, or we want to go to Angel Stadium, or whatever, so on and so forth. The Cubs.
Vegas is a place you go gambling.
Right. Vegas is a place
you
you go gambling.
Clubs,
and you go to the clubs. That. You go to a show. You go to see music and dancing, and you drink and all that stuff. Sports is secondary in Vegas. And now all the professional sports are trying to turn this into a professional gaming experience.
And I get it. You know, you can point at the success of the Vegas Golden Knights, and I gave credit to the Golden Knights that they handled expansion well. Just won the Stanley Cup and only its 6th season in the league, and that's already their 2nd Stanley Cup Finals appearance.
Right. But I would also, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but NHL expansion is handled a lot better than most other sports.
Well, I was going to say, but then you have the Raiders, who, ever since they moved to Vegas, what have they done?
Nothing. Zero. I mean, now, I will say this, and I think hopefully you'll agree with me, is you got to feel bad for Oakland sports fans.
Yes, absolutely.
Every way, shape, or form. They lost the Raiders. Now they're losing the A's. Oakland is a prominent sports city. People are going to disagree with me, but there are a lot of Oakland sports fans out there.
Lost the Warriors too.
Right, but they're still technically in the area.
But you can't. You're not in Oakland anymore at that point.
Okay, but we're talking about semantics of being in San Francisco. I'm talking about real, like where they get relocated to Vegas.
So that's why I threw that proposal still a couple weeks ago. We're talking since MLB is going to be taking over Vegas, you know, can't you put that AAA team that's in Vegas now? Can't you move that to Oakland to still give them baseball?
Unfortunately, that's not how Rob Manfred works. I mean, Rob Manfred has destroyed baseball. And obviously,
no kidding.
Where I think you know who I steal that line from, by the way. A certain Barstool personality who hates Rob Manfred and has actually done, I guess if you want to call half an interview on here.
Yeah.
But Rob Manfred has destroyed baseball in a lot of ways. He destroyed the situation in Miami, speaking of ballparks and situations, trying to fix that whole thing, and tried to blame Derek Jeter for it, when it really was not his fault. He wanted to invest in the team, and the owners were being meat shields and basically just trying to collect the money for buying the team. And look what happened. Derek Jeter divested and is now on his own again, which I'm sure he's much happier about, to be honest.
And he'll be on the call this weekend in the studio for the London games.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. But you know what? Who was that? That was Bruce Sherman and that dumb ownership group with the Marlins. Billionaire, first of all. Billionaire, not spending money.
Another example, right?
I'm trying to think of other teams that have. What is the one that Hank says? Oh, in Chicago, the owner of the White Sox, and Hank says this all the time. I think he owns the Bulls as well. Is that Reinsdorf? I think Jerry Reinsdorf.
I think you're right.
And
yes, Reinsdorf,
who's like old and senile at this point, but he doesn't spend money on his teams either. They'd rather put these money in their pocket.
And I mean, they were to give credit to the White Sox, they were investing in some youth, but look how that's been playing out for them.
Their team the last couple of seasons have been most upsetting, to be quite honest.
Major disappointments.
So to wrap this one up, in the sense of you were talking about Oakland, whether it's major market or not, They're in California. They technically are not a major market team. They're not the Angels. They're not the Dodgers. I would even throw San Francisco up in front of them, to be honest. And
I would too.
They've won more World Series more recently than the A's.
My point was, which I think you're going to, Rob Manfred would actually care if it was a major market team, but because this is giving them the opportunity to go into a major market, he's just letting it all sit back because he too is a laissez-faire commissioner.
Yeah, and again, no one has said this yet, so I think I'm gonna be the first one to really say this. Vegas is the new major market city, in my opinion. And every league is treating it like a New York and an LA. That's what Vegas has become. So now it's going to be New York, LA, and Vegas.
And Chicago.
Well, no, but I'm just saying in general. So the top three are going to be New York, LA, and Vegas. Because Vegas is now the gambling capital of the world. We need all the gambling stuff.
Hey, all you need now is an NBA team. I know they have the summer league there, but all you need is an actual team there now.
Oh, there's going to be an NBA team at one way or another. I just have a feeling. I don't know if it's going to be a relocation, that's going to be the problem because they would have to add 2 teams.
Yeah.
Because right now they're at 32 with a split between each league. I don't know.
I would add concern for the divisions, but divisions matter the least in the NBA.
Actually, there's 2 teams. Well, really one. There's one team I could see relocating in the NBA. It'd be the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, but then you have a team moving from Eastern Conference to Western Conference.
That's true, but I'm just
but I'm saying, but then you'd have to take a team on the Western Conference. I mean, maybe like Minnesota or something, and move them to the East.
That's right. I mean, or Houston Rockets. That's another team I could see relocating to Vegas.
That actually would be easier to do, but Houston's a bigger city than Washington. That might be a little more difficult of a battle than Washington.
I don't know.
That's DC. So
yeah, I don't know.
But I think the Rockets have still somewhat of a historical franchise, so it'll be a problem.
They're going to end up with an NBA team, but I don't know if it's going to be relocation because
that's what I'm saying. I think it's good. The NBA, especially a league which is player driven and laissez-faire, I think you're going to have to do an expansion, which means you're going to have to find a city on the East Coast to give a team to.
I mean, the only way I could really picture, I could see the Supersonics coming back and being in Vegas. That would be another one I would maybe look at.
Yeah.
And because I know how bad they want the Supersonics back. They desperately tried.
Unless you say screw it and you give two to the West and 2 to the East. But then again, the challenge is you have the cities on the West Coast that you can give expansion NBA franchises to. You need to find East Coast cities.
Yeah, I mean, Nashville,
Cleveland.
Cleveland has the. Oh, you're talking about taking the Cavs.
Oh no, not Cleveland. Columbus.
Columbus.
Because they have the Blue Jackets.
But I could see Nashville expanding.
Nashville. Actually, if we're going to talk about Ohio, then might as well add Cincinnati in there too.
Could do Cincinnati, but that would be too close to the Cavs, technically in proximity.
Oh, then maybe that's why Columbus doesn't have it.
Right, but I could see Nashville, and then that would allow them to do Vegas with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's left?
Yeah, 2 other stories left. Speaking of good old Rob Manfred, the Major League Baseball is now being sued for age discrimination. This coming from 17 former Major League scouts. You actually had the story on this right before we started recording.
Yeah, so I'm just going back to it.
Yeah, feel free to read it like I do.
Yeah, well, I lost it at the moment. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Okay, I got it. So 17 former Major League Baseball scouts who say they were discriminated against because of their age sued the league, its teams, and get the banner. And Commissioner Rob Manfred.
And good old Rob Manfred.
By the way, that's a double take. Good old Rob Manfred in the same episode. So The lawsuit was filed in U.S. District Court in Denver. The former scouts allege violations of the Federal Age Discrimination in Employment Act of 1967, along with laws in 11 states and New York City. The scouts, ranging from 55 to 71, alleged they were discriminated against from 2020 to 2022. They say MLB and teams, quote, have acted to prevent the reemployment of older scouts or refused the reemployment of older scouts.
So here's what I want to say about this story, Nick. On one hand, I want to say, I mean, they're older scouts. The game has kind of changed from, the MLB that they were working for. I mean, even I would even say if someone working early 2010s, the game has changed from even a decade ago. But the thing is, who has allowed that change to kind of happen? Again, I give you this.
Yeah, and it gets even worse. I mean, so it says they also say an MLB provision that offsets scouts' salaries when they sign with a new team, but are still being paid by a previous team from which they've been fired is discriminatory. Wait a minute. They're saying because they went to another team and they don't get their other salary, but they go to another team is discriminatory? Huh?
Well, I guess that's why they're suing all 30 teams, but I don't know if that's going to hold up.
It said MLB said in a statement, it looks, quote, forward to refuting these claims in court, but it does not comment on pending litigation. Wait. They don't comment on pending litigation, but the quote from MLB says, look forward to refuting these claims in court.
You can't have it both ways. Oh, by the way, I'm going to take a guess. It is a statement from Major League Baseball.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because it's a negative headline. Now, if this was a positive headline where all these guys got their jobs back, guess who it would be?
Well, it says the ex-scouts also allege MLB in 2015 ended a listing of scouts eligible for employment. The decision to end the MLB scouting in 2018 was discriminatory. And MLB used analytics and the coronavirus pandemic as pretext to eliminate older scouts.
I think I get what they're saying. I guess what they're saying there is that basically because they moved to analytics and they got rid of that, that basically meant that they could employ people who were more analytic based. And that's why you see in the front offices more of those, business people who are going to make decisions based on the analytics and such.
I mean, I hate to say this, but not that I condone it by any way, but age discrimination happens in all sets of life, in careers and business, and it's not just Major League Baseball. This happens everywhere.
But again, the reason why I don't think this is going to hold up is not because of that. I think it's unfortunately just a case of the game has changed. Now, you can say the game has certainly changed for the worse, like we literally just did 20 pages ago, but the point is it's changed.
The problem is age discrimination is one of the hardest things to prove.
Because industries change.
Right. I mean, but like I said, this is one of the hardest things to prove. The age discrimination and perjury are two of the hardest things to prove in court. To prove someone lied and to prove someone discriminated based on age are two of the hardest things to prove in court. Now, could you have a track of an idea that you were probably fired because of your age? It's possible, but how do you prove that?
Not for me to say. Not for me to say. I'm still 28.
Right. No, but I'm saying is how do you prove that you were fired because of your age? There's no way to prove that. Now, you could state the obvious, because if someone is 65 and you hire someone that's 30, which is what age I am now, and you're going to say, oh, well, they fired me because of age discrimination. That one would be obvious. That one would be quite obvious. But I don't think this lawsuit's going to hold up. I don't. But Rob Manfred's greasy hands are all over this again.
Oh, it's still not a good look for Rob Manfred at all.
I mean, he's getting sued in this, so he's going to have to stand up in court. And or is he going to send his minions to handle this instead.
He's going to send the representatives from the league.
Major League Baseball is representing me, not myself.
Yep. One other story just to mention. I guess it's the lightest kind of story that we have. Very controversial replay challenge just a couple nights ago in the Rangers White Sox game. So Bruce Bochy got pretty heated over this.
Yeah, so I can't remember his first name, but Heim, the Rangers catcher, was getting a throw from the outfield, standing near the plate, gets the ball out by a mile, the runner at home plate, and the White Sox challenge. He's out by a mile. That's not the issue. The issue was that they overturned the call for a catching violation. And they said he was blocking the plate. But he clearly was not. If you watch in the replays, he's not blocking the plate. Come on. The ball beat him by a mile. I mean, shouldn't there be like some what's the word I'm looking for?
Discretion?
Discretion. Thank you. Discretion that if the ball beats you by a mile, that you can't call blocking home plate.
Well, I mean, you could try to like slide through or something. I mean, remember the good old days? I say good old days, lightweight pot, because there was some really bad stuff that happened as a result of it. So, but the old days in which you could just run over the catcher.
We call it the Buster Posey rule.
Yep.
Or as I like to say back in the day, Pete Rose running all over everybody and sliding in and hurting people. But that was the rule back then. You took the second baseman out if you wanted to break up a double play, or you took the catcher out so he would drop the ball. I mean,
all right, I'm looking at now, but I mean, Nick, hopefully you could see through my phone.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Like, it's not like he's in the baseline completely. Is the thing he's not?
You're allowed to stand behind home plate.
I think he's standing behind really home plate here.
So
credit to Close Call Sports for this little breakdown here.
Yeah,
I honestly don't see a reason to overturn that. I don't know what they're doing.
So the rule is that you have to allow the front part of home plate to slide. And it looks like clearly the front part of home plate is open.
Oh, hold on. I opened that. I tried it again. Okay, they're going over the rule there. Yeah, it looks like the front part of the plate is more than open.
And the throw beat him by a mile. So I hate
beats him by a mile. That's such a bad call. That is terrible.
You got to use discretion. Like, you know how like in the NFL they'll use discretion sometimes, like when you're badly
beat.
But
the thing is, this is a replay challenge. What the hell is New York looking at?
Well, they were saying on the White Sox side when the analysis, when they were saying that maybe they looked at a freeze frame and he was blocking home plate. Not that they were agreeing.
Like a mere second or something like that?
They weren't agreeing. They were just saying that maybe that's what Major League Baseball was looking at. But this is just, hello, Rob Manfred. This one's on you. Hello.
Oh, so we get to go do a three-fer?
Yes. Good old Rob Manfred, who doesn't know how to play by the rules. By the way, I'm tired of like hearing MLB umpire voices like NFL referees. I'm getting kind of tired of it, to be honest. But I just love like, oh, he was out by a mile, but catching violation, run scores. I'm like, huh? What? Explain that one to me again.
I can't explain anything. I can't explain that. I can't explain any of these headlines. Nick, this was miserable. Are we finally over with the misery? There's nothing else you want to add? No other headlines? We're clear?
I think we're clear, but let's do some housekeeping, shall we?
Okay.
So, obviously, when you get done with us here, join us for the ETB Network NBA Draft live stream. Tom Albano, Nick Morgasen, Hank and Dichter, Paul Lombardi from 3&D and Game On. Paul is one of the best when it comes to the NBA draft. He has his NBA draft mock boards. He's one of those guys. So he will have full breakdowns for us while we cover. I think we're probably going to do both rounds probably at that point.
Probably be like the same role I had with the NFL draft. I'll be working the banners and everything else.
And then I'm sure like Paul and I will be watching the NBA trades.
Paul, I was gonna say, Paul and you are going to be the lead commentators. Hank is probably going to be the color guy and the history guy, and I'm going to be the producer.
Yeah, but I'm sure we'll have a good time. There'll be plenty of stuff to do there, and yeah, we'll cover the draft. And
Hold on, sorry, you there?
yeah, I'm here. You hear me?
You literally went down. We went down for like 15 seconds on my end.
Oh, it was probably a quick freeze, but
Okay.
Technology for you. But yeah, we'll be there for the live stream. We'll break it all down. We'll probably do both rounds since it doesn't take very long. And yeah, we'll give you some draft analysis from some of the best in the biz. And yeah, that's pretty much it on the housekeeping front. Also, moving some job stuff around across the network, just talking about this stuff. So Tom's going back for more stuff with his teaching degree. So we needed to move some stuff around for jobs and stuff. And so Hank and Dichter is going to be taking over the blogs that you've gotten accustomed to Tom editing. And and we're looking to expand on that blog. We have more people who want to write. And you'll help with that stuff. And but Hank's going to take that over and run the blog. And he has a new show. I don't know. Do we want to announce that show yet? Or are we still waiting on that?
Let's wait a little bit.
All I can say is it's a show I think we've wanted for a long time, at least sports-wise. Actually, by the time we get done with some of our plans, everybody, we are going to hopefully have, for the most part, all 4 major sports as a separate show.
A specific show for each sport.
As crazy as that sounds. I mean, it's exciting. I mean, a lot of growth. We did pass 400 subscribers on our YouTube channel, too. So that's good. Hopefully that rumored YouTube number they're changing from 1,000 to 500 is actually real. But I don't know. But I think that's pretty much it. Make sure you follow us on social media at ETB Sports, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Make sure you follow us on the Empty the Bench Network at ETB Network, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is over 400 subscribers, youtube.com/ETB Network. Follow our website, etbpodcast.com, where we have a bunch of blog content. We will be doing some updates and information on there as well. Make sure you find us on all your audio podcasting platforms, Spotify, iHeart, Stitcher, Google Podcast, Amazon Music. We're on all platforms.
And if you are listening on those platforms, make sure to check out youtube.com/ETB Network for the video feed where we have our YouTube channel and such that has 400 subscribers. Make sure to subscribe there.
Yeah, and check out all the bonus streams we do, including my tirade on John Morant or like I said, our draft live stream. So
important note, I should actually add, important note, due to circumstances beyond our control, which does involve some StreamYard stuff. Normally when we do these live streams, like we're going to do tonight for the NBA draft, we normally go to the platform here on the YouTube. We do the Facebook and Twitter accounts for the ETB network and the specific shows. Due to the, like I said, circumstances beyond our control, the number of platforms we can do, the Game On Facebook page will not receive our draft live stream tonight. We will try to have it so that way you can go on to the Game On Facebook page where you'll see a broadcast from one of the other shows' Facebook pages, so you don't have to go anywhere. But worst case scenario, check us out on the ETB Network YouTube channel or Facebook, Twitter page. Check us out for the live stream on the ETB Sports Facebook, Twitter page, and this YouTube channel. And for Game On, check out the Twitter feed. And the 3ND Facebook, Twitter pages. Game On, it will only be for Game On the Twitter feed. If you're on the Game On Facebook, we're going to try to get it set up so that way one of the feeds that goes out on the other Facebook pages can be on that Game On page. Worst case scenario, we have 8 other platforms you can check out, so make sure to find us.
By the way, who would have thought we'd actually have to be worried about the amount of platforms with all the content we had?
Well, this is the first time I think we're doing 3 shows coming together for this. Oh no, second time because we had the NBA game, the NBA Finals game.
Yeah, the NBA Finals game. But we're not used to having all this content and having the platforms to share to. So we're looking into it. StreamYard actually has some ways we can play with that. But that'll pretty much do it for episode 189 of Empty the Bench. For Tom Albano, I'm Nick Morgasen for the Raging Thunder Bullshit Mountain episode.
Rolling Thunder Bullshit Mountain review.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Tom Albano, Nick Morgasen. We'll be back for a nice round number, episode 190, next week. Good night, everybody.
Take care, everyone.